Hey guys, welcome to the online class Civic Education. With me, your tutor here, Mr. Gilbert Shwari. Civic Education is very important. It's very important. So today we are looking at a very interesting, important topic in civic education, which is the Constitution. The Constitution. What is a constitution? Simply, what is a constitution? So, a constitution is simply a system of laws, customs, traditions, and principles usually written down according to which country or organization is governed. We need to understand something here. A system of laws, customs, traditions, and principles usually written down according to what? Which country or organization. So, when you hear the word constitution, don't just think about the constitution of the country or the constitution of the nation. No. Even an organization can have what? A constitution. A constitution is simply a system of rules that regulates the behavior, the behavioral conduct of the people in a certain organization, or we say a country. So, at family level, there is a constitution. At school level, there is a constitution. What constitution is there? Let me take you to this example here. At home, maybe they say no one should come back at home maybe after 18 hours. That's a rule that the parents impose on the children. So, that's the constitution. It's regulating the behavior of the children, saying they should not come back home after 18 hours. At school level, we've got rules that we abide by. Rules that regulate the behavior of the pupils. For example, you should not come late. All those rules simply regulate the behavior of the people within the school. Hence, it's a what? It's a constitution. Now we understand that a constitution is simply a system of laws, customs, traditions, or principles usually written down. The word usually simply means it's not always written, but in most cases, the constitution is what is written. Hence, we need to talk about the types. The types of constitutions. We've got 4 types of constitutions. 4. The first one is the written. The written constitution. What's a written constitution? This is a type of constitution which has most of its provisions documented in one single formal document. In a single formal document. A written constitution is a type of constitution which has most of its provisions documented in one single formal instrument. This means the provisions or these principles or the laws or the traditions or the customs for the unwritten constitution, they are documented in one single document. That's what we call the constitution. For example, the constitution that we use in Zambia is the written constitution. We've got one single instrument, which is the document that has all the laws of Zambia. We've got countries that use the written constitution, where we have Zambia. Zambia uses the written constitution. We've got South Africa. South Africa uses a written constitution, sorry. Then we've got also Namibia, Tanzania, Botswana, and many others. All those use what? The written constitution. The written constitution. Yes, the unwritten constitution. The second type of constitution that we have is unwritten constitution. What is this type of constitution? It's a constitution which has most of its provisions not documented in one single instrument. Not documented in one single instrument. So, when you hear the word unwritten, it doesn't mean it's practically unwritten. It's not written, but it's a collection of documents. Collection of documents, statutes, and traditions. Traditions that are acceptable to rule the society or the nation. For example, it is a common practice in almost every part, all the parts of Zambia. Maybe you say when a child is giving something to an elder person, that child should kneel down. Is that written? It's not written, but it's something that is accepted to rule the nation. To say this thing is important, it's okay. It can actually promote the well-being of the citizens. It can regulate the behavioral conduct of the citizens in a particular society. That's why we are calling it the unwritten constitution, because some of its provisions are documented, some are in statutes, some are just traditions. Hence, that's the unwritten constitution. This type of constitution is, or it has got an advantage in some way. What advantage am I talking about here? It can adapt, or it is adaptable to the changes in conditions of the society. The changes in conditions of the society, because the rules are not written, hence they can be changed at any time. You can just say, stop kneeling down. It's not written, hence it will be changed there and then with immediate effect. That's the unwritten constitution. Examples of countries that use unwritten constitution, we've got Britain. Britain uses unwritten constitution. The other type of constitution that we have is flexible. Flexible constitution. Flexible constitution is a type of constitution that can be amended or changed by a majority of citizens without calling up for a referendum. What's a referendum? A referendum is simply a situation when citizens are asked to vote yes or no on an important issue, such as the proposed law by the legislature. They will just come to you to say, hey, Mr. Gilbert, we've got this rule that we want to include in our constitution. What's your opinion? I'll say yes, or I'll say no, include it, or don't include it, or include it. That's how it is. So that's the referendum. Now, a flexible constitution can be changed without calling up for that referendum, without asking citizens to say, we want to change a law, we want to impose this. They will not ask. Those majority, or the majority of those eligible citizens, will change the constitution without calling up for this referendum. That's the flexible constitution. The importance of this constitution is that it provides the excellent mirror of the nation's mind. It provides an excellent mirror of the nation's mind. What do I mean? Let's take it practical. The mirror that we use, let me say, is the dressing mirror. I'm dressing here. When I see that the tie, or haven't combed well, when I look in the mirror, I'll say, oh, haven't combed well my hair here. I need to comb. I'll correct myself that time. That's the same as the flexible constitution. Since it's flexible, it can be changed at any time. Whenever the eligible citizens see to say, oh, this is not good, they will change. This is not good for our people, they will change. That's how it is for the flexible constitution. The last one is the rigid. The rigid constitution is not easily amended. It's the opposite of this one. It's the type of constitution which cannot be easily amended. It requires special procedures for it to be amended. Examples of countries that use the rigid constitution, we've got United States of America, we've got Australia, we've got Switzerland, among others, to mention but a few. These countries use the rigid constitution, which is not easily amended. Okay, so now let us look at the constitution making and adoption process. How do we make the constitution? So constitution making is simply coming up with a constitution. Then adoption process is the act of approving a draft of a constitution or the copy of a draft constitution so that it becomes an official document. You approve it. You make, after making, you approve so that it becomes an official document. The approving is what we call adoption. Before we look at this, let us look at the history of constitution making in Zambia. The history of constitution making in Zambia. So, we know to say, on 24th October 1964, Zambia inherited its independence, its Northern Rhodesia self-governance. It started governing itself now. So, the constitution that was there was merely meant to safeguard the interests of the white settlers, since they are the ones who were in power at that time. So that constitution that was there was actually in favor of the white settlers. So it was supposed to be amended so that it starts safeguarding the interests of the black people, we people of Zambia. So from that time, from 1964, Zambia has had different constitution review commissions in order to improve its constitution. The first one was the Chona Constitution Review Commission. The Chona Constitution Review Commission, which was in 1972. We need to know the recommendations for each of the constitutional review commissions that we have. The first one recommended one-party participatory democracy. That's all. One-party participatory. One-party participatory democracy. It outlawed, it banned the formation of any political party apart from the political party which was in power by that time, which was the UNIP. The UNIP. United Nations Independence Party. The UNIP. That was the only political party which was allowed at that time. So the recommendation of the Chona was that there should be one-party participatory democracy in Zambia. Secondly, we had the Mvunga Constitutional Review Commission, which was established in 1991. The Mvunga recommended that Zambia should revert to multi-party democracy. It said Zambia should start practicing multi-party democracy. This is when now people started forming their own parties as well. This is when now we had Frederick Chiluba, who formed the MMD, Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, because this Constitutional Review Commission said no, we shouldn't have only one person ruling the country, only one party. No, we should form other parties. The third one was the Mwanakatwe. The Mwanakatwe was implemented in 1995. This constitution, which was there from 1991, remained constant. It was unchanged because the Mwanakatwe only talked about the parentage of a person contesting for presidency of Zambia. It said only a person whose both parents are Zambians, citizens by birth, should contest for presidency of Zambia. A person who is, in short, a natural citizen of Zambia should do contest for what? For being a president of Zambia. Okay, so now, since we know the history of the Zambian constitution, let us talk about the constitution making process now. The constitution making process is done by a body of representatives drawn from a cross-section of a society. These are drawn from various respective interest groups. A body of representatives. These people have varying ideas, they have varying views and principles of their own. So when they come together, they actually elect them, they select them to say, okay, this is the body of representatives that is going to make our constitution. Those people will come up with different views and ideas. This one will say, oh, kneeling down is good, no, doing this is bad, doing this is something like that. They will agree upon one thing and come up with what? With a constitution. They have come up with a constitution. Now, that constitution is not approved. It's not implemented. People cannot abide by it because it's not formal by that time. So it needs to be approved. The making process is done. We go to the adoption now. Constitution adoption process is simply the approving of the copy of the draft constitution so that it becomes an official document. The constitution that was made here in this process, now, the act of it being approved to become a formal instrument now, to be abided by the citizens, now we are referring that to adoption process. We have two methods of adoption. The other one is by constituent assembly. Constituent assembly. This is also a body of representatives selected or elected from various respective interest groups. They can be drawn from churches, from trade unions, from schools, from different institutions. These people or this body of representatives are merely meant to amend, to change and adopt the constitution of the country. Constituent assembly is simply a body of representatives elected to change, amend or adopt the constitution of the country. These people are trustable. They trust them to say, okay, these can amend, can make the constitution which is universal, helpful to all of us here. The next adoption process that you have, so the second constitution adoption process is parliament. By this method, the government, or let me say the executive wing, initiates the constitution adoption process. We know we've got three wings of government. We have the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. But for the adoption process by parliament is the executive, which is responsible for this. As we notice, the head of the executive wing is the president. Hence, the president is the one in charge of this. Firstly, the president will appoint a commission at inquiry. A commission is simply a group of people or a board of representatives. This board will conduct sittings in most parts or in almost all the parts of the country or the nation. Through those sittings, they will collect different ideas and opinions from people or from the citizens. For example, they will ask, what do you think about having sex with a married woman? This one will express his own view. This one will different views. Then they'll put them together and come up with a copy of a draft constitution. That copy will be sent to parliament. After it has been sent to parliament, there are members of parliament there. the parliament will now debate and make changes to it. At the end, it will be adopted. After the parliament has debated it now and made some changes and adjustments to that draft, it will now be approved by two-thirds of the members of parliament. At least two-thirds of the members of parliament. That's adoption process by parliament. Okay. Apart from the constitution making process and adoption, we can also talk about the qualities of a good constitution. The qualities of a good constitution. So, the first one is that a good constitution must be clear. What do we mean? The language used in the constitution should not be too formal. Ordinary citizens, apart from the lawyers, should be able to understand and interpret the constitution so that every citizen will be aware of what is accepted by the law and what is prohibited by the law. That's what it means to be clear. Then, a good constitution should neither be too rigid nor too flexible. Why? A good constitution should neither be too rigid, this is to prevent changes, nor too flexible, to avoid tampering with the basic principle. So the second quality is that it must be neither too rigid to prevent changes, nor too flexible to avoid tampering with the basic principle. The third point, the third quality of a good constitution is that it must be stable and stand the test of time. A good constitution should not be changed at the pleasure of any president or every president who comes into power. This one comes, he will change. This one, so a constitution should be stable and stand the test of time, useful for a longer period. Useful for a longer period. Okay. Another point is that a good constitution should protect the rights of each individual citizen. For example, we say when someone has been assaulted, the offender will be taken to what? To court. And that person will be punished. That is protecting the rights of freedom of us citizens. Okay. So the other point is that a good constitution should protect the rights of each individual citizen. Another one is that a good constitution should also cater for various groups of people in the society. Apart from the qualities, we are also going to look at the importance of a constitution now. What are some of the importances of a constitution? The first one is it promotes and protects the rule of law. It promotes and protects the rule of law. What do we mean? When someone commits a crime, there is a law in the constitution which says that person should be convicted or that person should be punished by the law. That means the constitution is protecting the rule of law. Another point is that the constitution sets out the composition and the function of the wings of government. It's in the constitution where it is stated clearly to say the function of the legislature is to make the bylaws. The judiciary, the executive, their respective works are stipulated in the constitution. Hence, it sets out the composition and function of those three wings of government. The third point is that the constitution ensures democratic governance, ensures that there is good governance in the country. Okay, so the other importance of a constitution is that It safeguards the fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens. It safeguards the fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens. Freedoms here, we've got the freedom of movement. It is stipulated in the Constitution that you can go to whichever country you want. The second point is that it gives equal opportunity for individual development. Gives equal opportunity for individual development. Everyone, as long as the person is qualified, is entitled to having a job or being employed by the government of Zambia. It is stipulated in the Constitution. So it gives equal opportunity for individual development. Okay guys, I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. It has been your teacher, Mr. Gilbert Chevalier. I have just summarized the topic, Constitution. I'll send you the notes when sending the video. So make sure you go through the whole topic. Now you study it and understand what is being talked about in the whole topic, Constitution. The topics that we are going to look at are 1, Constitution, the one we are from looking at. 2, we are going to look at citizenship. 3, we are going to look at governance. And 4, we'll look at human rights. These are the 4 topics that we are going to look at. Constitution, citizenship, governance, human rights. Be prepared, you can research so that as we learn, it will be a revision for you. Thank you very much for joining us. See you in the next video.